Oh, yes, sorry, yeah. Okay, so I'm going to go through making some different stairs for the interior, just to give you some different examples. So I might delete some of this furniture so I've got some more room to work with. And then I'm going to make sure that I know the levels I'm working on as well. Oh, no, sorry, you captured yours, haven't I? Okay, so I'll just release that. And yeah, what's your number? Oh, yeah. Okay, so, oh, right, sorry. I'll just be a minute. I'll just be a second. I won't take very long. Sorry. Okay, so again with the stair tool, it picks up the levels starting with the level that you have open, so or the floor plan associated with that level. So here you can see it's got lower floor. We can always change it, but of course that's where I want to start anyway, so I'm leaving that. But then the top level is one that you will need to check. Once you've added a few more levels, it's going to pick up the next level above. And that's the entry landing in this case. The street really was, but it's picked up the entry landing. And that's not where I want to go to. I want to go to the upper floor level. And that should always be the first step in your thinking about stairs. The level that you're starting on and the level you're going to. And with those two heights, then we can divide that by our riser height to get the number of risers. So Revit does that for us, but we just need to be aware of the process. And so in properties here, you can see it has the desired number on 14. And Revit's worked that out for us. If I go to the properties panel and change it to a different type of stair, so this is the 190 max riser that I want, it might change that because it might have different riser heights set, but you can always change the count as well. So there it's on 14. If I wanted risers that were lower, I can increase the number of risers, and then it's going to adjust the riser height accordingly. So if I go to 16, of course it's going to be much lower, but that could be okay. So I'm going to go for in between, I think 15. I'll try. You don't always have to go to the maximum riser. So the maximum riser would be if you had 14. If we go to 13, it's 192, which is over the maximum. But if we go to 14, then it's 178. That's okay. But again, you don't always have to go to the maximum. So if I have 15 risers, that's 166. And I sometimes try to get them closer to 150. If I've got clients who've got a bit more space to work with, it is nicer if the stairs aren't so steep. And so then with the run tool, of course the easiest stair to make is a straight stair. And so that's the first option that's selected there. You've got run to make all these different automatic stair shapes. And then with the straight one, then you just need to think about the location line. So here, you need to think as though you're walking up the stairs. So if I want my stair to start about here, and then I want to be walking up in this direction, as I'm facing that stair, the wall would be to my left. So I'm going to choose run left, and then I can draw on the left-hand side of my stair, take it to the right, and you can see there it gives me the count down at the bottom. You can see in that faint grey it says, 10 risers created, 5 remaining. So I can take that all the way to the end, and that will give me all 15 risers. If I want to do an L-shaped stair, don't use this one. That's for an L-shaped winder. So to do an L-shaped stair, you just keep with the straight option, and then give the number of steps you want in the first flight. So here I've got, say, well, I'll do a bit more than 10, because we just don't have a lot of room. So I'll do 11 rises there, so you can see it says 11 rises created. I'm going to click, so I've still got 4 to go. So now, I want to draw using the right-hand side of my stair. So I'm going to turn around and imagine we're walking up the stair coming down this way. And so I want to draw on this side, which will be the right-hand side, as we're facing that stair. So I'm going to change it to run right, and then just continue to click a point for my next step, and then come down, and you can see it's giving me the last 3 rises. And we can see, of course, that we probably don't have enough width there at the top of the stair. And I can even just use the tape measure tool to measure that and see what the distance is, and I'm sure it's not enough. 640. So that's not enough. So I want to add some stairs to the first flight and take them off the second flight. And that's quite easy now with Revit. So you can select this flight, and then notice you've got an arrow and a circle. And they both work a bit differently. So here, I want to use the circle and then drag it to the left, and you can see there it's going to give me an error. Okay, so that's, it is useful in many cases, but it's not what we want here. It's going to change the length of the flight. What I want to do instead is add treads, or risers, and you do that with the arrow. So using the arrow instead, you can see the difference straight away. Notice it's shortening the second flight as I extend the first one. So I'll do that again, just drag that arrow one more to the left, and again it'll just take a step off the second flight, add to the first one, so in total I still have my 15 rises. Okay, so to finish that, tick to finish, and I've made my little stair. Now if I go to the upper floor level, I can only see part of the stair. Right, and that's because, of course, the floor is covering the rest of the stair. So to cut the hole out, I'm going to use the shaft tool there on the architecture tab. Okay, so clicking shaft. Again, we need to think about the levels. So there, in properties, you can see it's got the base constraint on upper floor. I'm going to change that to lower floor. And then I'm going to change the base offset to 100. So the void that it's making starts just above that floor level a little bit. The top constraint, I'm just going to leave unconnected. 6 metres is enough. So then I'm simply going to trace the shape of my stair. And you can find it. Notice how you can see it's snapping to it, even though I can't see it. Now, if I go to the lower floor plan while I'm drawing, that's absolutely fine. And then I can continue drawing lines around my stair. And as always, when you're making things like this, make sure you make it a closed shape by using trim to join those lines together. So that's the shape of my hole in the floor. And I'm using a shaft so that if we put a ceiling in, it'll cut that as well. So I'm going to finish that now. Go back to the upper floor level, and now we can see the stair. And if I have a camera view, through there, again, you can see the stair coming up nicely through the floor. I'll just extend that view so that you can see it. There it is. So that works. But of course, it's just a straight stair. So maybe to try some other ideas. We're going for time. Hard to see. Going to run out. Yeah, I'll just very quickly do a spiral. They're not that difficult. So with the stair tool again, basically the same process to start with. So thinking about the levels, And here, beginning on lower floor as before, but again changing the top level to upper floor. So you've got two options for spiral stairs. The first one is a full step spiral, which is a true traditional spiral stair. You need to give the centre point and then bring it out at least the width, half the width of the stair, because you're drawing the centre line. And so in this case, I've got it on run right, so it's got to go to the outside. In fact, I'll leave it on that because it still works. So you just need to see there that you've got that error symbol coming up until you get the width of that stair. Now that's really big, simply because the run width there is still on 1000, which is too big for this space. So I'm going to make it 700. And then now you can see I don't need to come out as far. And it's giving me an error telling me it can't create that stair. So I'll go and have a look at my properties. I'm going to go to Edit Type. Remember before I was talking about the riser heights for spiral stairs, and you can go higher. So you can go to 220, and that will make it work better. And then the minimum run, I'll set that to the minimum run width. I'll make that 700. And now I'm going to just have a look at the desired number. You can see it's gone down to 12. So then with the, again, full step spiral, click a centre point, bring it out until I can see that error symbol goes away. And it still doesn't like it. So I'm making it a bit too small maybe. So I'll just make it a little bit bigger, and that's worked. So it's because here this inner arc was too small before. And you do need to allow a bit of room for the post anyway, so that's okay to have a bit of a circle there, or a bit of a curve there. So that would work. And so again, you can use, this one will work at the top to extend the stair, and you can actually add risers that way. Or again, if you use the arrow, that will just essentially change the position, which is probably a good thing in this case. And you could make that quite an efficient thing if you get it right. Again, tick to finish, and then you could worry about the void afterwards. But just so you can see it in 3D, I'll just make a camera view in there. There's the spiral stair. And then final option, which I'm not going to spend too much time on, but I just want to give you an idea. So I'll just do it out the back here. So again, using the stair tool. Right, so these options are good, but you can see from what I did before that if you do more than one flight, it's going to put a landing in between those flights. So I'll just show you that very quickly. If I do, say, a straight stair, and then I change it to, and I'll just increase my risers so that it's not too high. So again, I've drawn a straight stair. Now I'm going to change it to do a curved stair using this second spiral option. So I've got to give a centre point, and then I can say where I want the stair to start, and then, oops, that's not working. Change it to run left maybe. That's better. So I can get a curve connecting, and actually, sorry, it was run right. Doesn't want to pick it up. There we are. So I've got a straight to a curve, but notice it's put the landing in between. And we don't really need a landing. And it makes it much harder to work with when it's putting these landings in for you, because then to go and turn that into a stair is a bit of a process. So if you need to make a more complex shape, sometimes rather than using these automatic tools, and I will just show you quickly the winder tools, why you shouldn't use those, because it might look like a nice L-shaped stair, but when you look at it closely, you can see all of these lines are sloping a little bit, and that's not correct. It shows you that it's not really meant just for L-shaped stairs, it's meant for winders, which are a different thing. So again, instead of using these automatic shapes, you've got the sketch option, create sketch. And that's generally how you make more complex stair shapes. So I'll just show you one very quickly, to give you an idea. So you draw these green lines, which are the boundaries. So I can do a curve there, or a curve and then straight, whatever you want. I'll offset that by, I'll just keep it narrow and make it 800 to do the other side of my stair, the other boundary. So you need a boundary on each side, the green lines, and then you draw the rises, which are the black lines, for each step. And you can put in precise measurements, but you can see here I'm just doing this by eye, and this will work. Looks like that. So I still need to draw the total number of rises. So I've got 7 created, I need 7 more. So again, just very roughly drawing these. You'd have to make them even later, but just to get it to work, I'll just draw the lines in again by eye. And yep, one left. There. So that's nearly done, but I still need to do one last thing, and that's the stair path. So you've got the 3 things you have to draw. So with the stair path, I just need to draw a centre line, pretty roughly, you don't need to be that precise, through the middle of my stair. So it looks like this. Has to go all the way through. Okay, so that'll work. If I finish that now, it's going to make a stair. So if we look at that in 3D, you see I've got my, unusual shape. So you can do virtually any shape you want, but when you start to do those things, you can see then what the construction issues are as well. Because it makes the stringers for you and it tries to join them and make them follow these unusual shapes, and that's something else you've got to consider. But, you can do virtually anything. So yeah, sort of to give you some ideas about those things, and then, the great thing with stairs in Revit is that they are so quick and automatic usually, that you can often just experiment with different stair shapes, get an idea of the space they're going to take up, and how the heights are working, and even if it's not the final shape you want, you can always develop it and keep refining it to end up with what you want. So I'll delete that one, and I think maybe with this one I might decide, well, the spiral one seems to be working the best, so I'll keep that. And there's no problem editing that shaft to follow my new shape as well. But we'll do more on that after the holidays. So hopefully that's enough to get started with stairs. You've done a bit before, of course.